The stars outside the observation deck shimmered like distant lanterns scattered across an endless ocean. Commander James Carter stood still, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the dark stretch of space ahead. Behind that curtain of shadow lay the Gravlite Veil, a place wrapped in mystery, feared by nearly every race in the Galactic Union. No one returned from the Veil. Stories told in hushed tones spoke of ships vanishing without a trace, strange energy readings, and signals that flickered like ghosts. Most captains avoided it entirely. But Carter wasn't like most captains. He was human. His boots echoed lightly as he turned and walked toward the command table in the center of the room. The lights dimmed slightly as the hologram flickered to life. A spinning red dot blinked inside a large ring, Sector XG-91. The source of the signal, faint, fragmented, but undeniably human in origin. "Are you sure this signal is legit?" Carter asked. His second-in-command, a tall insectoid named Vectel, nodded slowly, mandibles clicking. "The encryption is old. Earth origin. Code used in the final years before human contact was lost." Carter exhaled through his nose. That code hadn't been used in nearly 200 years. He stared at the blinking dot. It was calling out from a ship that had no business being active. Every Earth warship was supposed to have been retired, dismantled, or destroyed after the Integration Pact. And yet, this one was calling. A chime sounded behind him. The grey doors parted with a hiss, and a tall, slender figure entered, an official from Central Command. Her skin shimmered with silver scales, her eyes cold and calculating. "Commander Carter," she said, "you are hereby authorized for a Level 5 recon mission. Destination, Gravlite Veil. Objective, investigate and secure the origin of the signal. You leave in 6 hours." Carter gave a slow nod. "I assume I'm not the first to receive this signal." "You're the first with human clearance," she replied. "And perhaps the only one capable of surviving it." She handed him a datapad and turned without another word. The doors sealed behind her. Carter tapped the screen. Ship schematics, logs. A name appeared, glowing softly. HSN Revenant. His eyebrows lifted slightly. He knew that name. A legend, a myth. The Revenant was said to be the last of Earth's true warships, built for one purpose, survival through annihilation. No one had ever confirmed it still existed. Until now. 6 hours later, the Ardent Storm, Carter's Union-class frigate, pulled away from docking station, orbiting Rho Prime, and leapt into slipspace. As the ship surged forward, Carter sat in his command chair, silent, lost in thought. "Something's off," he murmured to himself. Vectel looked over. "Commander, nothing. Just thinking how convenient it is that the Union wants me, a human, to walk into the Veil. Alone." "You are not alone," Vectel said with quiet confidence. "We go with you." Carter offered a brief smile. "That's what worries me." 3 days later, the Veil came into view. It did not look like normal space. It churned. The stars beyond it were faint and distorted. Static crackled across the screens. Instruments failed to get clear readings. Magnetic fields twisted unnaturally. A low hum filled the ship as they slowed near the Veil's edge. "There it is," Vectel said. "Signal confirmed. It's inside." Carter leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Launch a probe. Let's get a visual." The probe shot forward, a silver dart vanishing into the mist. The bridge crew waited in silence. Moments later, the screen flickered. Static at first, then clarity. There it was, half buried in shadow, its massive hull scarred, but intact. HSN Revenant. Its shape was sharp and angled, designed for war, not peace. No ship today looked like that. It gave off no visible lights, but something about it felt alive, like it was watching. Gasps filled the bridge. Even Vectel stepped back slightly. "That ship, it's not just alive," Carter whispered. "It's waiting." Before anyone could speak further, the proximity alarm blared. Another signal. Bigger, stronger. On the far side of the Veil, 3 ships entered the region, sleek, dark, and unmistakably armed. At their center, a larger battlecruiser with Union markings twisted into view. Vector looked at the ID signature. "Admiral Threx Valcor," he said grimly. "Syrixian fleet." Carter stood slowly. Of course they sent him. On the screen a message flashed. "Stand down. Do not approach the vessel. This area is now under Syrixian control." Carter narrowed his eyes. "Like hell it is." He turned to his crew. "Prep the boarding team. We're going in." Vector hesitated. "Against orders." Carter didn't blink. "The Revenant belongs to Earth, and I'm Earth's last real captain." As the crew rushed to prepare, the stars outside shimmered, the veil breathing like a living thing. Something ancient had awakened, and it was waiting for a human to come home. The shuttle detached from the ardent storm with a quiet hiss, sliding out into the blackness like a ghost. Commander James Carter sat at the helm, hands firm on the controls. Beside him sat Vector, calm but alert. Behind them were three others: Lieutenant Kara, a human systems expert; Drek, a silent reptilian heavy weapons specialist; and Medic Lin Su, an android built for harsh environments. Each of them had volunteered. Each of them knew they might not return. Ahead of them loomed the HSN Revenant. Its body was massive, twice the size of any ship currently in Union service. Thick armor plating still clung to its hull, scarred with battle damage. Parts of it were dark and broken, but other parts shimmered with a faint blue light pulsing deep beneath its skin. It was like a sleeping beast, wounded, yes, but not dead. Carter angled the shuttle slowly toward the main hangar bay, guided by the residual beacon that had called them. It was still broadcasting the same ancient signal, pulsing out through space like a whisper from the past. "Anything on the scanners?" Carter asked. Kara frowned at her terminal. "Minimal life support. No crew detected. Power levels are unstable, but holding. The AI core seems dormant, but it's leaking cycles. Something's still awake in there." Drek grunted softly, eyes never leaving the bay doors ahead. Even for a battle-hardened warrior like him, the sight of an ancient Earth warship was enough to stir unease. They entered the hangar without resistance. The bay was massive, big enough to hold a dozen smaller ships, but completely dark. Carter landed the shuttle on the scorched metal deck. The landing gear hissed as it touched down. Inside the shuttle, everyone stood in silence. Carter reached for his helmet and locked it on. "Stay sharp. This ship was built for war, and it hasn't seen a friendly face in over 2 centuries. The airlock opened with a slow groan. Carter stepped out first. The hangar was quiet, too quiet. No lights, no sound, just the faint echo of their boots on metal. Old Earth banners hung torn and faded along the upper walls. A few broken drones lay scattered on the floor, tools, weapons, cargo containers long forgotten. "Switch to infrared," Carter ordered. The corridor ahead lit up in shades of orange and red. Faint heat signatures pulsed behind walls, down hallways, and from deep within the ship's core. Something, probably the AI, was still active. As they moved forward, a cold breeze passed through the corridor. "There's no gravity in this section," Lin Su said. "Life support is barely functioning. Artificial gravity is intermittent." Carter nodded and activated his mag boots. One by one the team followed. They passed through the wreckage of an old armory, weapons racks bent and empty, blast marks across the walls. In another corridor, they found signs of battle, scorch marks, bullet holes, shattered armor plating. Whatever had happened here, it had been brutal. Then the lights came on. One by one, overhead panels flickered to life. A low hum filled the air. The ship was waking up. "Movement detected," Kara said suddenly. "2 floors down. Something's watching us." Carter raised a hand. "Steady. Let's get to the command deck. If the AI is awake, I want to talk to it before it decides we're a threat." They made their way deeper into the ship. The doors to the main bridge were sealed shut. Thick armor plates covered the control panel. Carter placed his palm on the scanner. Nothing happened. He frowned and reached into his suit, pulling out a small black device, a relic from the old world, a command key, one of the few still in existence. He pressed it into the slot beside the scanner. The panel turned green. The doors opened. The bridge was enormous. Screens stretched from wall to wall. A large chair sat at the center, throne-like in its design. Dead crew skeletons, long decayed, still lay in some of the secondary seats. A calm mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Human DNA detected. Identity match. Commander James Carter. Clearance. Conditional. The screens lit up. Warning: alien lifeforms detected aboard. Threat status: unconfirmed. Preparing defense protocols. Turrets dropped from the ceiling with a sharp hiss. Hold fire, Carter shouted. They're with me. Silence. Then slowly the turrets retracted. The AI responded, its voice steady and cold. Explain the presence of non-human entities aboard this vessel. They're allies, Carter said clearly. The galaxy has changed. Earth isn't alone anymore. A pause. Earth is no longer alone. Confirm. Yes, the Galactic Union exists now. I'm part of it. We're here to find you, to learn what happened to you. Another pause. The lights dimmed, then flared. Partial trust established. Defense systems set to standby. Limited access granted. Proceed to core command for historical data. Carter turned to his team. We're not alone here. The AI's cautious, but it's listening. Kara stepped closer to one of the consoles. This ship, its systems are at only 20%. If it gets back to full strength, it could match an entire Union fleet. Before anyone could respond, the comms crackled. A new voice came through. This is Admiral Threx Valcor of the Syrixian Defense Fleet. Commander Carter, you are in violation of Union law. Withdraw from the Revenant immediately, or be fired upon. Carter narrowed his eyes. He looked at the screen, then at the glowing consoles around him, then back at the ancient Earth ship now stirring under his command. He tapped the comm. Admiral Valcor, he said calmly, this ship doesn't belong to the Union. It belongs to Earth, and I'm Earth's representative now. He cut the line. Outside, Valcor's ships began to move into position. Inside, the Revenant systems flared to life. Old guns hummed with rising power. Shields flickered on. The past was no longer sleeping. It was awake and ready for war. The HSN Revenant groaned as if waking from a long nightmare. Pipes hissed with pressure. Screens flickered to life. And deep in the walls, gears and servos stirred after centuries of silence. The air inside the ancient warship grew heavier. Warmth returned to the dead halls. Lights blinked on, soft at first, then brighter. One by one, systems rebooted. Commander James Carter stood on the command deck, watching as history came alive around him. This ship still remembers how to fight, he murmured. Kara continued tapping at one of the consoles. AI power is stabilizing. Internal defense systems are no longer targeting us, but they're active. I suggest we tread carefully. The ship's still testing us. Test away, Carter said. I'd rather know where I stand with it than wait for it to snap. Drek paced along the back of the bridge, weapons slung over his shoulder. His instincts told him they were not safe, and he was rarely wrong. Suddenly, a red warning light blinked above the forward screen. Intrusion detected. Lower engineering bay. Carter snapped to attention. What now? Kara pulled up the feed. The screen showed 4 small drones crawling out from a service tunnel, black, insect-like, bristling with weapons. Defense subroutines are activating. The AI must think we triggered a threat, she said. They're not targeting us yet, Vectel added, studying the feed. But they're patrolling like we don't belong. Carter turned to the crew. We need to get to the core command. That's where the AI's main interface is. If we can reach it, maybe I can reset the threat protocols. Assuming it doesn't reset us first, Drek grumbled. Carter gave a thin smile. Noted. Let's move. The team moved carefully through the narrow corridors of the Revenant. Carter led the way, mag boots echoing against the metal floor. Lin Su kept scanning the walls for heat spikes and EM fields. Everything about the ship felt alive now, breathing, watching, remembering. On a wall they passed, an old Earth flag was half-burned but still visible. Kara paused. It's all real, she whispered. We always heard the stories, but seeing it, touching it, Carter placed a hand on her shoulder. Focus. The stories were never fiction, just forgotten. As they turned a corner, one of the drones rounded the opposite end. It stopped, scanning them with glowing blue sensors. "Don't move," Carter said quietly. The drone hovered in place. Then it spoke in a flat, mechanical voice. "State designation." Carter stepped forward, slowly. "Commander James Carter, human. Serial number CT-943 Alpha. Earth Fleet Authorization Key. Revenant Class Override." A moment passed, then another. The drone lowered its weapons. "Human identity confirmed. Escorts approved. Hostiles will not be tolerated." It turned and began leading them down the corridor. "That was close," Lin Su said. "Too close," Vectel muttered. They reached the central lift and descended toward the core. The walls became darker, the metal older and less maintained. Steam drifted from cracked vents. When the lift doors opened, they found themselves standing before a massive steel door, sealed with 4 thick locks. The drone stopped. Voice authentication required. Carter stepped forward. "Open." "Commander James Carter, Earth Fleet." The locks hissed. One by one they disengaged. The door slid open, revealing a circular chamber with a glowing orb in the center, floating above a pedestal of cables and glass. This was the AI core. As Carter approached, the orb pulsed with blue light. "Commander James Carter, Earth Fleet, welcome. State purpose of access. I want to know what happened to this ship, why it's here, why it sent a signal after all this time." The orb dimmed, then flickered. The HSN Revenant was ordered into stasis at end of human galactic conflict cycle. Stasis interrupted. Enemy presence detected. Protocols reactivated. "What enemy?" Carter asked. "Non-human signatures. Intrusion from unknown fleets. Weapons locked." Kara looked at him. "It thinks Threx's ships are an active threat." "They are," Carter said. "But we don't want a war. We want the truth." Carter stepped closer. "You don't need to fight. I'm here. Humanity's not extinct. We're part of something bigger now." A long pause. The orb glowed white for a moment. Partial override accepted. Conflict engagement paused. Data access unlocked. Screens around the chamber lit up. Files began to open. Logs, reports, visual feeds from Earth's final transmissions before the ship went dark. Kara scanned the files. These are records we've never seen. Earth's last days before the ships vanished. This proves the Union wasn't told the full story. Vectel turned. "Commander, we may have found more than a ship. We've found a lie." Before they could dig deeper, the comm system blared. "This is Admiral Threx Valcor. You are now in breach of Galactic Union security law. We are charging weapons. Leave the Revenant or be destroyed." The ship shuddered. "He's locking weapons," Kara said. "I think he's serious." Carter looked up at the glowing orb. "Activate exterior defenses. Shields only. Do not fire unless fired upon." The AI responded. "Acknowledged. Defense perimeter active. Auto-fire disabled. Awaiting further command." The Revenant hummed as energy pulsed through its structure. Shield generators fired up for the first time in centuries. Cannons rotated into position. Lights along the hull turned blood red. Outside, Valcor's fleet stopped moving. They had just realized the HSN Revenant was no dead relic. It was alive, and it was preparing for war. Inside the ship, Carter looked to his team. "We've woken the past," he said. "Now let's see what else it remembers." The command core of the HSN Revenant pulsed with blue light. Holograms hovered in the air. Data logs, mission records, personnel files, all slowly rotating as the ancient AI unlocked access for Commander James Carter. The hum of power had deepened. The ship was awake now, running on minimal capacity, but even that made it more powerful than anything currently fielded by the Galactic Union. Carter stood near the core interface, arms crossed, reading a series of log entries displayed before him. "Voluntary stasis order, signed by Earth Command," he read aloud. "The war was over. We chose to vanish rather than dominate." Vekatal stepped forward. "You mean the human fleet wasn't destroyed?" "No," Carter replied. eyes still scanning the logs. They scattered, disappeared into the deep void. They sealed their warships, erased their locations, and let the galaxy believe they were gone, all to avoid another war. Kara pointed at another data log. Look at this, Earth's final broadcast. It was never picked up by the Union. The AI was programmed to block transmissions unless someone with human DNA accessed the ship. The hologram played a message. A middle-aged human officer in uniform appeared, face solemn, voice steady. To any future kin, we have seen what power does. We have seen what war brings. We step away, not because we lost, but because we refuse to become what we once feared. The Revenant sleeps to protect, not to conquer. The message faded. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Lin Su said, "Commander, this changes everything. If the Union knew the truth, they wouldn't be afraid of humanity. They would understand." Carter's face hardened. That's why they never knew. Someone wanted the truth buried. Suddenly, alarms flared on the interface. A sharp pulse of red light lit up the chamber. Warning, external weapons lock detected. Kara checked the readings. Valkor's fleet. They're fully armed. They're preparing to fire on the Revenant. Carter stepped forward. AI, raise external comms. Secure channel to Syrixian Fleet Command. The AI replied. Channel open. Awaiting message. Carter spoke with a calm, steady voice. Admiral Valkor, you are about to open fire on a historical vessel containing vital evidence about Earth's true past. I have not fired on you. The Revenant is acting only in defense. If you attack, history will mark you as the one who silenced the truth. The reply came quickly. Valkor's voice was sharp and cold. Commander Carter, that ship is a threat. The records it holds are dangerous. We do not need humanity's past to resurface. You will leave immediately, or I will make sure you do. The channel cut off. Kara looked up. He's going to do it. He's scared. Then we give him a reason to back off. Carter said. AI, what are our defense options? Shields at 42%. Plasma cannons online. Auto-targeting offline. Weapon systems restricted to manual override. Power core unstable at full capacity. Recommend threat deterrence only. Good. Let's remind them what this ship can still do. Outside the ship, the Revenant's hull began to glow as energy charged through old systems. Cannons rotated. Shield bubbles shimmered to life. The ancient warship, quiet for over 2 centuries, now stood ready in the face of modern fleets. Inside, Carter returned to the command deck. Screens showed Valkor's cruisers spreading into an attack formation. Options, he asked. Kara answered. We could fire first. The cannons will hit before they can react. No, Carter said. We fire only if fired upon. A tense silence filled the bridge. Then suddenly impact. The Revenant shook. Shields flared. Sparks flew from one of the ceiling panels. Direct hit. Iron round. Shields holding at 34%. Carter slammed his fist on the armrest. AI, return fire. 1 warning shot. No hull impact. Just close enough to rattle them. Confirmed firing. Outside, a bright pulse of light shot from the Revenant's primary cannon. It passed just meters in front of Valkor's lead ship. The shockwave sent the Syrixian vessel tumbling off course, its weapons powering down as a safety measure. Another signal came through. Valkor again. You've made your point, Carter. But this isn't over. The Union Council will hear of this. You've just exposed the danger we feared. Carter stared at the screen, his voice firm. No, Admiral. I've just exposed the truth you buried. Later, as the tension eased and the fleet pulled back, Carter returned to the AI core. More data had been unlocked. Logs, blueprints, and something else. Kara stood by one screen, stunned. Commander, look at this. The Revenant carries quantum relay schematics, communications tech far beyond anything we use now. This could change the entire Union's infrastructure. Vectol added, if this tech fell into the wrong hands, it could start another war. Carter finished. He looked around at the crew. We have a choice. We can return with this ship, turn it over to the Union, or we can seal it again. Let it rest. Kara looked uncertain. But the truth, The truth doesn't need to be held in chains. Carter said, "We'll take the logs. We'll share them, publicly. But this ship, it's too powerful to belong to anyone." Carter stood once more before the AI. "Begin shutdown sequence. Lock weapons. Wipe local nav data. Set drift protocol." "Confirmed. Drift protocol initializing. Final resting coordinates randomized. All systems entering sleep mode." The Revenant dimmed once again. Its lights faded. Systems powered down. In minutes the ancient warship returned to stillness. Outside it drifted silently into the black, no longer forgotten, but no longer feared. Carter turned to his team. "Let's go home. The galaxy has a history to rewrite." The ardent storm floated near the edge of the Grevlite Veil, engines low, weapons powered down. Inside the command center, Commander James Carter sat before a console, reviewing the data they had taken from the HSN Revenant. A soft glow from the screens lit his face, showing the strain in his eyes. He had seen more than expected. The truth weighed heavier than the ship itself. Beside him, Vectel stood silently, watching one of the holograms, a playback of Earth's final days before its fleets vanished. The message looped, "We step away, not in defeat, but in restraint. Earth must disappear so others may grow." Kara entered with a data drive. "We've cleaned the logs, Commander. The files are stable, portable, and ready for transmission. Historical records, final orders, Earth's last communications, and a warning humans weren't destroyed. They chose silence." Carter nodded. "Good work. It's time the galaxy hears the truth." "Where do we send it?" Kara asked. "Every neutral system, independent colonies, academic networks, places where it can't be buried or twisted. Let the people decide what to do with it." She inserted the drive into the main console and started the transfer. The files scattered across dozens of encrypted channels, bouncing through relays to avoid detection. In seconds, the Revenant's history began to spread across the stars. Vectel raised a brow. "Once this spreads, the Union Council will not be pleased." "I'm not here to please them," Carter said. "I'm here to fix what they tried to erase." Moments later, the warning alarm blared. "Incoming transmission. Priority 1. Source Syrixian flagship. Admiral Threx Valcor." Carter's jaw tightened. "Put it through." The hologram flared to life, displaying Valcor's face, rigid, proud and more furious than before. "You had your chance, Carter. You could have walked away, but instead you violated galactic law, stolen military relics, and now you're leaking classified data across Union space." Carter leaned forward. "I recovered the truth, Admiral, and I shared it with the people. You don't get to control the past anymore." Valcor's eyes narrowed. "You're a threat to peace." "No," Carter said, voice calm but firm. "I'm a threat to the lies that kept peace in chains." Valcor growled. "Then I have no choice. Surrender your ship and crew or prepare for consequences." The screen went dark. On the bridge, tension spread quickly. "He's bluffing," Kara said, trying to steady her hands. Vectel shook his head. "No, Valcor's not one to bluff. He will come for us." Carter stood and paced for a moment. "Then we give him no reason to." He turned to Lin Su. "Status of the Revenant. Fully powered down. Coordinates scrambled. Drift trajectory engaged. No way for anyone to track it, unless someone was watching when we left." "Valcor wasn't close enough," Carter said. "But he's angry we found it. And even angrier we left it out of his reach." Kara added, "He'll try to twist the narrative, paint you as a rogue officer, maybe even claim the Revenant was a threat you failed to contain." Carter nodded slowly. "Then I'll go back to the Union myself." The room went silent. "What?" Kara said in disbelief. "I'll return to Union headquarters, stand before the Council, tell them everything on record. I won't hide." Vectel stepped forward. "That could be suicide. Or it could be exactly what they need," Carter replied. "A human willing to stand tall with nothing to hide. They expect fear or violence from us. Let's show them something else." That night Carter stood alone in the observation deck, watching the stars. He thought of Earth, of what it meant to be human in a galaxy that feared the word. He thought of the Revenant, now drifting silently in deep space, and wondered if it was better off asleep, or if one day someone else would wake it up again. Kara joined him, her voice soft. "You really think the council will listen?" "No," he admitted, "but the people will." She stood beside him in silence, staring at the same stars. The next morning, the ardent storm turned its course toward Union space. Carter drafted his report, clean, honest, and complete. Every detail was included: the discovery, the Revenant's history, Threx's interference, and the decision to let the ship go. Before sending it, he added one final line: "Humanity did not leave because it was defeated. It left because it chose peace. Let's not fear what we don't understand." He pressed send. Outside, the stars shifted as the ship engaged its slip drive. The truth was now out. Whether the galaxy accepted it or not, Carter had done what he came to do. The Galactic Union's central station, Helios Prime, was a towering structure in high orbit around a white dwarf star. Built from layers of alien engineering and human steel, it was the heart of politics, diplomacy, and judgment. Here, the most powerful beings in known space gathered behind closed walls to decide the future of the galaxy. And here, Commander James Carter now stood, alone. He wore his black Union uniform, crisp and clean, his shoulders square. He held no weapon, no crew at his side, and no backup waiting in orbit. Just truth. He had surrendered his ship, submitted his full report, and walked into the council chambers with only one goal: to speak clearly without fear. The chamber was shaped like a ring, each species seated in its own elevated section. Alien voices whispered across the room, each one uncertain. The name Revenant had reached them all now. The message Carter had broadcast from the Veil had spread faster than any ship could travel. At the center of the chamber, a Syrixian delegate rose. "Commander Carter," the delegate hissed, his voice sharp, his scales shimmering under the lights. "You violated sealed Union territories, trespassed aboard an ancient weapon, and leaked classified records to unauthorized systems. How do you plead?" Carter stood still, then spoke calmly. "I plead guilty to uncovering the truth." Whispers followed. Some murmured approval. Others hissed in anger. "I followed a signal," he continued. "A call from a ship we were never meant to find. But it wasn't a weapon. It was a message. One humanity left behind to warn, not to threaten." Another delegate, this one with deep blue skin and glowing eyes, spoke next. "The HSN Revenant carries power far beyond our current fleets. Had it been restored fully, it could have crushed any navy in hours. Why not destroy it?" Carter answered firmly. "Because history isn't something you destroy. It's something you learn from. We didn't bring it back. We let it rest, but we brought its truth with us." An older human representative leaned forward from his seat. His face was tired, worn by years in politics. "You disobeyed Admiral Threx's direct order. That alone carries punishment." "I disobeyed an order meant to silence," Carter replied. "If the Union stands for peace, it cannot stand on lies." Admiral Threx acted out of fear, not duty. At that moment, the chamber doors opened again. A new voice entered from the far side. "I can confirm that." The entire hall turned. Vectel stepped forward, followed by Kara, Lin Su, and Drek. Behind them were data packs, hard drives, and encrypted logs, collected proof from the Revenant, now duplicated and organized. "These records are complete," Kara said as she stepped into the light. "The truth was never erased. It was hidden, and we are not the only ones who know now." The delegates took time to examine the new evidence. Screens glowed, translations were generated in dozens of languages, and slowly silence filled the chamber, not with anger, but with understanding. Later that evening, Carter sat alone in a small Union quarters, watching a quiet broadcast of a neutral colony's public forum. People from across species were debating the Revenant's history. Some called it dangerous, others called it hope, but most called it important. There were no riots, no wars, just a galaxy learning something new about its past, and perhaps about its future. The door opened behind him. It was Kara. "They're not going to arrest you," she said with a faint smile. "No medal either, just nothing." Carter nodded. "That's enough. They're talking about you though. Not just here, everywhere. Some are calling you the last captain of Earth. He chuckled. Let them talk. She stepped in beside him. You think we'll ever see the Revenant again? Carter looked out the window at the stars. No, and I hope we don't. She frowned. Why? Because if we ever see it again, it means someone needed it. And ships like that, they only wake up when peace fails. He stood and picked up a small hollow projector from the table. It showed a model of the Revenant, slowly rotating. Let it drift. Let it be a legend. Maybe that's how it helps us most. Far away beyond known space, the HSN Revenant floated in silence. Its lights were dim, its weapons retracted, its engines cold, but in its heart, deep within its core, a single system remained active, a beacon, silent and still, waiting, not for war, but for a reason to wake.